Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back. We are here for another behind the scenes reveal, demonstration, whatever you want to call it, inside of Zero to Clients. And with each one of these demonstrations that I'm doing, my goal is for you to see different professionals who live in different parts of the world, who all have different niches. And what you will see if you go through sort of this series of interviews that I'm doing is that regardless of the niche that each professional focuses on, regardless of whether they came in to ZTC with no emails to speak of, with no online presence to speak of, or an email list or previous client experience, it doesn't matter. The way that we work with clients is we follow our proven system where we take the practitioners and coaches by the hand and we walk them through step by step the creation and building of their entire online business. And so today is no different. So we are going to walk through, and I think what's super cool about Aashika's business is are you acting as a physical therapist or a coach?
I'm acting as a coach.
As a coach. Okay. So we have a licensed professional who is a physical therapist who has to follow the red tape and the boards and the regulation and the whole nine. And so when licensed or regulated professionals come online, the license prevails. And so it doesn't, whether they're, yes, she's acting as a coach because she's not doing one-to-one PT, but the license prevails and we don't want to cross the line and we want to act in a professional way. So what we're going to do is we're going to walk through what this looks like. But before we do you want to just say hello and introduce yourself, who you are and what you do?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Aashika. I've finally gotten comfortable with saying my whole title now. I really feel like I can embody it more than I did when I was first joining. I felt like an imposter, but now I can say I'm a physical therapist, a yoga teacher, and a holistic health coach. And it feels so good to kind of finally be able to stand in that,
Mhm.
And just speaking to what you were saying, Lori, I did have to do a couple of calls with the State Board of California, the State Board of New Jersey, some emails back and forth. And then I finally got from them in writing that when you're a licensed physical therapist, it's actually part of your duty to give health and wellness information to the public. As long as you're not prescribing physical therapy treatment, and
Yes.
there's, really clear rules around that, and you can make that really clear in your disclaimers all over your Facebook group, all over your
Yeah.
marketing. And so for me, I finally felt like I enjoy being a holistic health coach, and my physical therapist hat guides me and it's my foundation. But now I get to have these other parts of my identity as a healer that I get to tap into, and I get to help more people that way. And so that's been awesome.
I have a question for you as you use the word healer. Did you ever feel like your peers or your colleagues were going to judge you, or were you ever nervous about what your representation online, health coach less than PT, no doctor in front of your name,
Yeah,
uh, did you ever struggle with that?
definitely. Definitely. And it was, even when it came time to the fact that my clients, they wouldn't call me doctor, they would call me Ash. And within the client space, that feels so nice because it's like, oh, great, we can kind of work together in a very down to earth way. But when I'm marketing and I'm
Yeah.
supposed to feel like an expert, at first I was so nervous that can I market as a coach? Like
Right.
how is that credible? So
Mm,
there was so much self-doubt around that, and there was so much me getting in my own way. And then I slowly started getting into a rhythm after I got into launch.
right.
I was still psyching myself out pretty much all throughout build. And I was like, I'm just not going to think about these feelings. But then after I got to launch and I learned more about how my brand is not something superficial. My brand is like a representation of like my soul and who I am. And if who I am is also a coach and that's something that can help someone else, I started to finally lean into the fact that that's an expert too. And
Yeah.
I feel good now.
As you were talking, it's so funny how clarity comes through understanding, right?
Mm.
And even as you were speaking, I was like, I don't know what, alternative. I don't think PTs are alternative. What
Mhm.
profession in the health world embodies more of a coach than a PT,
Mm.
right? The whole thing is coaching, right? You can do it like, other than the mechanics of what you're getting the clients to do, you are, as a PT, more than any other, I think, profession. Like, I'm thinking chiro, I'm thinking massage,
Yeah,
osteo. You're not coaching, you're just manipulating. But
right.
in a role of a PT, you are actively coaching.
Wow, I actually never thought of it that way. I'm so grateful you said that. I needed to hear that today because that's the reason I became a PT in the first place is I didn't want to just be a consultant. I didn't want to see
Right.
my, patients or clients one and done every couple of months. I wanted to walk with them and work with them
Mm,
over a long period of time and see
yeah.
transformation. I guess that is something that coach and PT have in common. I didn't think about that.
Me neither. I literally never thought about it. Like, if we
Yeah.
say in the realm of, your peers, right? Chiro, osteo, massage, who am I missing? I don't know.
Mm, mm, mm.
Right.
Puncturist, maybe.
Yeah. Acupuncturist, they don't act as a coach. They're facilitating a service, right?
Mhm.
Because there's no physicality on the part of the client or the patient. They're just receiving the treatment. But
Mhm.
as a PT, there's a level of physicality that the client has to undergo. And oftentimes it's quite difficult.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so having coaching skills as a PT would only be beneficial, which is so interesting because obviously, and it's funny that like, I've never had this conversation before actually, because in any of these elements, reducing inflammation only serves to benefit the client or the patient.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's super interesting. So having some level of like nutrition, health coaching, right?
Mhm.
Habit change
Yeah.
only serves to benefit. And so it's interesting because you're not the first PT that I've spoken to that really felt embarrassed about
Mhm.
coming out as a coach. Like, it was like a step down.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's understandable to feel that way because there isn't as much regulation to claim oneself as a coach, whereas
Yes.
such a process, so much money,
100%.
time to become a doctor of physical therapy.
Yeah.
But I have to tell you, Lori, now that you tell this to me, since joining this program and since becoming a health coach, yeah, I talk about nutrition, I talk about sleep, I talk about all of the different lifestyle changes that will help people heal better, whether
Mhm.
they're receiving PT from me or whether they're receiving content from my program or just free marketing that I put out there.
Mhm.
And now that I think about it, of course, I only service physical therapy to people who are living in California
Yeah.
or in New Jersey. That's where I'm licensed.
Yeah.
I find that they feel good. They're getting more of a holistic
Of
perspective
course.
from me, even in my physical therapy appointments.
Yeah.
So actually learning how to be a coach has helped me as a PT.
100%. Right. I think in any profession where we're expecting our clients to take an action,
Mhm.
we need to have coaching skills.
Yeah.
Right. And it's really interesting because even like, and again, I don't want to get too off track here, but we could probably have this conversation for hours. But I'm thinking about like a chiro massage. Like, of course they give them exercises to like do at home,
Mhm.
but they're not doing that. Most people aren't doing that. Right.
Mhm.
So it's really interesting. Okay, we will put a pin in this because this is a philosophical conversation about, the necessity of having some coaching skills, whether you're a PT or a massage therapist or a midwife or a yoga instructor or an energy practitioner. It will only benefit your client base for you to also have the skills of being a coach. Because those two things aren't hand in hand. You being an energy practitioner and a coach are not the same things.
Totally. And if I can just, resonate with that for a sec, it's like my patients are honestly asking me what's happening in this group program that I'm running. They're so curious about it. And it's been a game changer for me because I've realized even, people who have the physical therapy once a week, they could really use a group for accountability and community. And so my coaching clients within my program, gosh, they're growing in leaps and bounds. I just graduated a couple of them and I created this ascension program. We can maybe talk about that later, but some of them are already so excited to go on to the next thing and have more community. So
yeah. Well, let's start at the beginning. So,
sure.
like our process, we work with everybody, whether they're licensed, regulated, not licensed, regulated, it does not matter. We need a way for people to know that you exist. We need a way to capture email addresses and put people into a Facebook group if you choose to use one. We need a way to nurture and educate and empower, and we need a way to enroll, and we need a way to deliver the online program that you are creating inside of Zero to Clients. So we are going to start at the beginning, and we're going to talk a little bit about the Facebook ads. And not everybody uses Facebook ads. Not everybody has them set up. Not everybody wants to. We recommend it. We teach it. We give you the templates for it because it speeds up the audience building portion of the program. So do you want to share a little bit about your experience with ads?
Totally. So at first, there's a huge stigma that comes with ads. There's that like terror. Oh my gosh, what if my friends are scrolling through their social media and they see my ad? That's so embarrassing. And there's just all of the hoops you have to jump through to work with Meta. It's honestly it's intimidating even to me now. But I think the light at the end of the tunnel for me that makes me want to still go through with it, and I'm hoping I can meet with Kevin soon and like really get my pixel sorted and put my ads out there, is because deep down, I know my intention. It's one of those things where this is a slight tangent, but my husband is really into designer brands. Surprisingly interested in them, like Gucci and Prada. He works for an Italian company, so he's really interested in them. And when he posts about those brands, I'm sure there are people out there that think, oh, wow, he's so superficial, or, oh my gosh, designer brands are such a waste of time and money. But I know that his intention is to honor the family history and the ancestry that went behind those brands and how he associates it with his work, and it's meaningful to him. So that's just life. Is whatever we do, there are going to be people who view it as superficial and basic. And if we go in with that intentionality and we're really connected with our purpose, which I'm not there yet, but I'm trying to remind myself that me putting ads out there is so that I can reach a wider group of women who could benefit from relieving their chronic pain.
Yeah.
And if ads are the method to get there, I'm going to do what it takes to get there.
Yep, absolutely. And there will always be people. I mean, I should publish some of the stuff that I get. Like, there will always be people. And then we go and we look at these people and I'm like, you're not my ideal client. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, thank you for commenting on my Facebook ad, because that just shows up as engagement, because Meta doesn't know if it's nice words or mean words. It's just engagement.
Yeah.
Meta doesn't know, and I don't care. So thank you. Right. I once had on my ad, I once had 100 comments between a nutritionist and a dietitian fighting about who's better, because one is obviously regulated and one is, loosey goosey, not regulated. And they were fighting, going back and forth and back and forth. It was like 100 comments. And I was like, and my team was like, are you going to stop it? I'm like, it's engagement. I'm not stopping that. They are, because to Meta, it looks like people are having a conversation. They don't know that they're fighting about who's better. I'm a dietitian. I'm better than you. I'm regulated, blah, blah, blah. And I certainly don't care.
Yeah.
So it was hilarious because we were watching these two women battle it out on my ad. And I'm like, keep going, keep fighting. Like, everybody else get involved, because then it helps with the reach.
Yeah.
Right? It helps boost the ad. It brings my cost down. I'm like, thank you. I don't care. Thank you. Anyway, that was a funny time in my ads history, but you're right. Like, there's always going to be people who have something to say, and they're not running ads. So who cares? Right? It doesn't matter. Okay. So there's no ads going on right now. So are you doing anything organically to grow your audience, to grow your email list? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So organically right now, I am posting to my community Facebook group. I'm going live multiple times a week. I'm posting to my Instagram, my Facebook profile, my Facebook business page.
Amazing.
So those things are kind of taking on their own journey, and I'm coming up with a structure and a schedule. Outside of that, I give lectures once a month at Stanford. So at the end, I'll just put up my lead magnet page, and I'll have people, if they're interested, to opt in. And that's been really interesting because it was the funniest turn of events, but there was a woman who came to my seminar at Stanford, and her niece has chronic pain. So she referred her niece to me, and it was like within a 2-week time frame of her niece getting my lead magnet and then getting on a call with me, she enrolled in my program a couple weeks ago. So it's been like such a cool combination of, just the word spreading. And I just think it's really exciting and empowering to know that it is possible and it's happening.
Yeah. So go ahead, share your screen. Let's look at the lead magnet. And I think it's really interesting because this is something that I used to do too, where, this was back in the day. So this was, over a decade ago, where I wasn't online yet, but I used the mechanism. So go ahead and share your screen. And I would get people to sign up for my newsletter, but I had a clipboard. I had like a clipboard and a piece of lined paper, and they would put their name and their email. And then I would have to go home and I would add them to my Hotmail. And, I think Hotmail only allowed you at the time to send like 40 emails at a time. So I would send my newsletter to, I would send an email to 40 people, and I would BCC them all. And, it's interesting, just the evolution, but the mechanics of it, the strategy of it has not changed, right? If you're doing any type of free talk anywhere, you should always be sending people to your free gift, which is the lead magnet, because otherwise you're wasting an opportunity to grow your audience. If the people are sitting in the audience, they're your ideal clients, most of them anyway. So, okay. So you're doing your talk at Stanford and you put up the last slide. Does it have like a QR code? Like, how do people get to this page?
Right. So this page right here, I put a QR code that links to this at the end of my slideshow.
Perfect. Because now from COVID, we all know how to use QR codes. We all know how to turn our camera on, and it just opens right up on our phone. And then the people sitting there, even when we're in a grocery store, like you could have a QR code saved as an image and be like, oh, I'll just give you my free guide. And they can do it in a grocery store. Right. So that's really cool. And then they are subscribing to this, right? So they're subscribing to your lead magnet, which is prevent and bounce back fast from flare-ups without taking meds, suffering in silence, or becoming bedridden for days. So then they're going to subscribe and they're going to go to the thank you page,
which looks like this.
right? Yeah, perfect. And so what you can see through all of these different interviews and demonstrations that I'm doing is that everybody has made the pages their own based on their own brand, even though we give mood boards. So you get a choice of 5 mood boards, but some people want to customize it because they want to customize it. But the page and what the page does is the same. So this page tells them to go look in their junk, and it also invites them to the Facebook group, right? So now there's 2 places to nurture. There's the email list and there's the Facebook group, right?
Mm.
And so when people subscribe, they have to get the immediate response. They have to get the lead magnet. So then we're going to go into Flowy
Mhm.
because they're like, okay, cool. I've submitted my name and email. Like, then what happens? So then we're going to go into, just hit the go back button.
Right.
Yeah, there we go. Perfect. And we're going to go into automation. Fabulous. And now we're going to go into lead magnet opt-in. And it's the same thing. You get the tag, you get the immediate response, you get the 1 day later. What did it feel like for you to have to customize the templates that we gave you?
Mm. It was really a relief at first to know that I had something I didn't have to create from scratch. It was almost like having a recipe um, that you get to follow, but then you get to make it your own. And I
Yeah.
think that second part is really important for me because, you know, when you get a recipe, you don't necessarily know, is it going to be as spicy as you want it to be? Is it going to have all the different vegetables you like? Not necessarily. These are the foundational templates that are going to get the results. But
Right.
I also wanted to make it me. So I would add in a little bit of love or a little bit of tenderness or
Yeah.
compassion if I
Yep.
felt like that was what my clients need.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, yes, that's exactly what we want. And the reason that we give you templates is because each email does a specific thing. And as you are customizing them, it's obvious what each email does. Right. And so in the immediate response, in the 1 day later, that is delivery of the lead magnet. There really isn't, there's not a lot of background about you. There's not a lot of fluff. The intention of those 2 emails is to get them to download and consume your content. That's the point. And so it's really critical that when you are building your online business with these different pillars, these different mile markers, is that you know what each piece of content needs to do so that you get the results that you want. So people subscribe, they get the download, they get the immediate response, they get the 1 day later, and then go back to workflows. And then they're going to get your nurture sequence. And so that's the K. Yep, there we go. And so then they're going to get these 3 emails. Now, these 3 emails do very different things. Do you want to talk about what these 3 emails do?
Yeah. So they allow my clients to get to know me a little bit better, to get to know like the personality behind the
Mhm.
credentials and behind the lead magnet that they just consumed.
Yeah.
Um, I say a little bit about my journey as someone that also had chronic pain, but I go into a lot more detail and I'm a lot more vulnerable in these emails. So I'm really excited for these to go out with my ad because I am so curious, Lori, to see when people who are complete strangers from different
Mhm.
parts of the world get to know me, what do they perceive of me? And how much can they trust me? So I think this part is really exciting because it's where they get to K, no, right? L,
Yeah.
like, T, trust me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really important to me to be able to
Yeah.
connect with them.
And I think it's also really important to note that, when somebody subscribes, so Ashika's been at Stanford, she's sharing her lead magnet. None of this has come through paid ads, right? The people who are on her email list now are through word of mouth, they're through in person, they're through, posting on Instagram. It's all through sort of organic means. And she had clients go through her program, her beta test, the program before her ads were set up. So it's
Mhm.
not like she had to wait. It's not like she couldn't work with clients because this piece wasn't set up, right?
Mhm.
Never going to stop you from moving forward because a certain piece isn't set up. We're going to help you to move forward and take advantage of whatever opportunities are coming, regardless of what is set up or what isn't. And I think that's really important to understand,
Mhm.
right?
Yes, I really appreciated that for sure because for example, this morning I taught a yoga class on Zoom, and one of my students consumed the lead magnet, and she went through the whole KLT sequence. And the next time she saw me, she asked if she could stay after class on Zoom, and she had tears in her eyes. And she was like, "Oh my gosh, I had no idea that's what you've been through." And it just, she's like, "I couldn't have known because you're teaching a yoga class. I had no
Right.
idea you'd been through this and that and the other thing." And it really warmed my heart. Like, she doesn't have chronic pain. She's never going to be one of my clients, or most likely not. But
Yeah.
just knowing she's in my world, she's in my
Mm,
yoga classes, and she
yeah.
knows my story. And who knows, now that she has a great relationship with me, if she knows someone
A
that has
hundred
chronic
percent.
pain,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
Maybe I would be her go-to because she
Yeah.
trusts me.
100%. And I think regardless, whether she's going to be a client or not, we all want to have deep, meaningful connections with other human beings,
Yeah.
right? Like, period. End of story. Like we all want that. And so when you are leading in whatever way, leading a yoga class, right? Leading a workshop, whenever you are leading, it is always beneficial for the people following you
Hmm.
to admire you, respect you, connect with you. Like, that's never harmful,
Hmm.
right? That's never harmful unless you're like a psychopath, but you're not a psychopath. Um, unless you're like a very bad human. But that's not what I'm not like talking about, like a cult following. I'm
Yeah,
talking about genuine, like healthy, deep connections where, you know, she will remember you because you made her feel a certain way. Like, she has a level of respect for you that she didn't have before.
totally. And it was so unsolicited. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh my God, Flowy is working for me when I'm not even paying attention.
Yeah. So, like, in other words, not salesy at all. Hey.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I don't think these emails are salesy.
Yeah.
I no, I
Right.
I feel
And
so
so
good about them.
that's amazing. And so when somebody comes into your world, have you done your master class yet?
Oh, it's coming up next week.
It's coming up next week. Oh my goodness. Okay. So when somebody comes into your world right now, and I love your example because you have all of the parts and you've built all of the parts, you've just executed them out of order, which is totally fine. Right? Because you already had a following, because you already had people who wanted to work with you, you made sure that you got your program done lickety split,
Mhm.
right? So that they could enroll with you and start working with you while you built out these other pieces.
Right. Now it feels kind of like, okay, the beta launch is done, but now I'm going to do the webinar, and it's going to be with complete strangers,
Yeah.
fresh faces. And as I welcome them into my world, I'm ready now. I feel like the amount of coaching I've gotten around how to do the enrollment calls, how to send the weekly marketing, those things now are finally being put to work.
Yeah. And so I just want to make this really clear that even though we have a very specific way that we work with every practitioner or coach in zero to clients, there's always going to be wiggle room because your business is a living, breathing entity. And so when you come to us and you're like, I'm not even done my program and I have all of these people that want to work with me, we're like, okay, here's what we're going to do. Right. Which is exactly what happened. Right. You're like, I have all this opportunity. I'm like, great, let's sell them. Like, let's go. Right.
Yeah.
And so we guide you through what that looks like and how to do it. So now that they're on your email list, they're getting the nurture emails, they're going to not enroll, they're going to register for your webinar. Do you want to share your webinar or registration page?
Yes. So It's called the
Beautiful.
Masterclass.
Yeah.
And just for the people watching, this is an example of what the feminine mood board looks like. I haven't changed
Yes.
the background for this. I haven't actually done anything to change the fonts or any of that, because I just really liked it as it was, and I've been focusing on other priorities.
Right.
So down the line, if I want to, I'll go back and I'll edit and change the color scheme. But I really like this, and it does the job. So
Yeah. Yep, totally. So this is the feminine mood board. And like I said, there are 5 different ones to choose from because we build out your pages and then it comes with a slide deck and the whole 9. And people are going to register for this masterclass. And after they register, they're going to go to the thank you page. And same thing, they're going to get the thank you page. And then and then we need them to show up. So we're going to go back over to Flowy. And we're going to go back to workflows. Yep. Yep. And again, automated emails, right? That get triggered based of the date on your webinar. And so we work backwards and we're like, okay, they need the day before and they need 3 days before and they need 5 days before. And so here are all of the emails that are fully customizable. And anytime you're going to run another webinar, you just duplicate this out, right? If you're going to run a totally different webinar, then you duplicate it out. If you're going to run your webinar again, you just change the dates. Like once it's set up, it's set up. So you run the webinar, you have the best time doing it. Are you nervous to run your webinar?
I am.
Yeah.
So this was the August one. I have to change the dates and I have to make it October.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm very excited.
Amazing. And so they run the webinar, and then from the webinar, you're going to book calls. So do you want to show them your online booking? Do you have your calendar?
Yeah, let's go back there. So under my calendar settings.
I never remember where this particular one is. Where it's like
for them to book a chronic pain clarity call, which is my enrollment call. Let me just open this up for you guys. Copy permanent link. And that's right here.
Yeah. Fab. And so they book a call. And then after they book a call, we need them to show up for the call. And so we're going to go back into Flowy. And so also every single thing that we're doing is in Flowy. There's no switching around platforms. There's no, oh my gosh, I need to go to my online calendar here and it's not synced with my other thing. So I don't know. Every single thing that we build for you for your online business is under one roof, which is really important. And so then we go to, yep, see, she knows. I don't even need to tell her. And like, you know, 6 months ago, you didn't know that. So it's like all of these things, you know, tech is so foreign and people are like, I don't know about tech. I'm like, I promise you, you do it 3 times, you know, like, you know what I mean? It's not, we're not getting you to code. It's steps. It's logical steps, right? So you're like, okay, cool. Like they register for a call. They need emails. So then they come in here and they get the confirmation email. They get the reminder emails. Again, these are all templates we give to you that you customize to put people to show up. And then you have the call with them. You enroll them over the phone through a checkout page. Right. And then, Let
me see if I have the checkout page. So they would never see this, but on my side, I would be talking to them and I'd be like reiterating to them what all they get in the program, how much it costs, and then I'll go ahead and I'll just put that stuff in for them. So it's super smooth.
Yeah. And then once the transaction is complete, then the transaction triggers the next automation, which is, where is it? Signature, program, delivery, and check-in, right? So the transaction itself triggers this automation. A buyer tag is applied to the person's contact profile, and they get the delivery email, which gives them access to the content hub and all of the check-in emails. And this is fully customizable. So some people have client contracts, some people don't. Some people do intake forms, some people don't. Some people are selling physical products, some people aren't. So it just depends on what your onboarding into your program looks like. So they get these emails that we, again, set up for you. And then do you want to show off your content hub?
Sure, I'd love to. It was so much fun to make. So
Yeah,
here's
it's that
what it
one.
looks like.
Perfect. Amazing.
And yeah, this is preview mode. And I just made it so that it was a 4-month program. And if you looked back at my workflow super quick, I just chose to send out an email every week just to be like, hey, this is the module that you could work on this week if you want. And the cool part about it is some people, have been sticking to the schedule and doing it every single week. And there's some people that are like, oh, I'm on vacation or life happened. I didn't get to do this module or that module. So in our group coaching calls, I'll have people rename themselves on Zoom and just say, what topic are they working on at this point in the program? Some people are like, oh, I'm working on sleep. I'm working on movement. I'm working on flares. I'm working on nutrition. And that way, sometimes in my group coaching calls, I'll do breakout rooms and I'll have everybody, who's interested in a particular topic go into that breakout room and just chat with each other for 5 to 10 minutes. And then we'll all come back and do a group discussion. So
tell the people why you get them to rename themselves.
Oh, yeah. So let me actually show you right now, because it can just be really helpful for me to sort them and then put them to the different breakout rooms. Like I could either call myself Dr. Aashika Suseendran with all my titles, or I could just change my name to Ash.
Right.
And what I would tell my clients to do is rename themselves in parentheses next to their name. Tell me, what do you prefer to be called? Some of them use their nicknames, and then they'll say, oh, this week I focused on nutrition. And so then I also know it's less for me to keep track of where they are in the program. I know, okay, Jane Doe is working on her nutrition right now. And so I should.
So smart. That's so smart. That's such a good tip for putting them into breakout rooms, right? Because then they're going into a breakout room with other people who are working on the same area. Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that so much. And so what did it feel like to get your content hub back? When we sent it back to you with all the instructions and you looked at your creation for your intellectual property, your body of work for the very first time, what did it feel like?
Oof. I cried. I legitimately cried. I really didn't think this could be possible for me. Like when I tell people I own a business, it's like when I think about it, this is my business. Like I have this tangible thing that I'm proud of and that I got to customize. And, when I click on it, like I get so excited to like take them through the different parts of it. Like I have the orientation. This was inspired by you, Lori, because you have us do a leaders in transformation affirmation. So I have my chronic pain conquerors do one too. So
I love that.
So they kind of go through, they kind of read through. Sorry, I'm not sure why it says that, but people. There we go. Okay, cool. Yeah, so this is something they can always go back to. And sometimes I really do point them through it, or we just do a guided meditation where we close our eyes and we remember that, we're not victims. Even though we have pain, we can get through it. And so that was really just how I felt as well when I got it back. I was so exhilarated, grateful, shocked. It was a mix of emotions.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would have to say, like, just like how, I don't know, restaurants or other businesses have a flagship item or product, I feel like this is mine. And I legitimately feel like it's valuable. And all the doubt and stuff that I had, it still comes back time to time, but I can ground myself. Sometimes I just take myself back to the content that I've created. I take myself back to the client's experience and I realize this is actually something that's helping people, and that keeps me going.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
So just to sort of recap, and you can go ahead and stop sharing because we're at the end.
Okay.
I think it's really important. The key takeaway that, I want everybody to to realize in doing these behind the scenes interviews again is that you are unique, and the transformation, the support, the coaching, the validation that you bring to your audience, to your client base is and should be uniquely you.
Mm.
And that is why there's space for everyone. How many other people specialize in chronic pain? A lot, right? A lot. And people will still gravitate to Ashika because of her nature, because of her authenticity, because of her personality, because of whatever, right? And there's two parts to this. There's your own personality and authenticity and brand and color choice and niche and painful problem and method, like everything that is uniquely you. And you need the container to put it in,
Mhm.
right? And that's what we do, right? So we have the container, and then you have the freedom, the creativity, the flexibility to customize it. But otherwise, it would just all of what makes you you and your ideas and your creativity and your intellectual property and it has nowhere to go.
Mhm. Yeah. I felt that. I really did because there were times when I would be itching to be able to share some of my holistic health knowledge, but I
Mhm.
couldn't do that in a hospital setting where I was regulated and I was needing to bill every single code.
Mm.
And um, then I thought, okay, it's a pipe dream to start my own practice. I remember when I quit my job, it was like the first time in my life that I had jumped off of something secure and steady, and I
Mm.
didn't have a landing point. I was like, "What am I doing? Like, I quit. This is not Osh. Like, I don't do this. I just quit from something and I have nowhere to land."
Mm.
That was like right around when I found you, and you were talking about the fusion method. You were talking about
Mhm.
how you could do group and one-to-ones. And I was like, maybe this is it. Maybe this is where I have to land. And even though something in my intuition told me that I needed to learn something from you, I had no idea that I would be creating something with a container like this.
Yeah.
Like like a one side, like a one place for everything
Yeah.
and a system for
Mhm.
patients. I think that's been like the most rewarding thing. And one thing I want to say to anybody, coach, PT, or anybody listening is there's space for everyone. That's something I needed someone to tell me because I was, 28 when I started this. And I felt like I was too young. Nobody would listen to me. No one would take me seriously. There's so many
Mm.
other experts in chronic pain, who are
Yeah.
more famous or older or whatever. But I realized I was wrong. And the world needs more people. In fact, if there are more people whose niche is chronic pain, I would be thrilled now because I finally realized we're not competing with each other. We're actually not. There's so many people who
Right.
need help. And even in our own program, like I think about Dr. Anthony Davis, he's a
Mhm.
chiropractor. And I remember feeling intimidated when he joined Zero to Clients because I was like, oh my gosh, he knows so much. He's specializing in chronic pain.
Yeah.
We're so similar. But I realized our approaches are we're all gonna have our own style.
Yeah.
And different people like who even come to me, I would be like, you know what? I think Anthony would serve him better.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
there are different people who I know I can count on. I could do a great job with them because our personalities, our methods, our philosophies, our spirituality, they just
Mhm.
resonate.
Yes.
So we're all so unique. We can't really compete with each other based on something like a niche. There are so many different ways in which we all operate, even within a designated specialty or a designated profession, that I think there's just room for all of us at the table. And
Yeah.
that's my main takeaway.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I mean, you know, we see it even in the coaching calls, right? Like when we get on a call and there's 2 or 3 people who are in chronic pain, and one is
Mhm.
a PT, one is a chiropractor, and one is a trauma informed coach who is
Mm,
working on the trauma side, right? And we're like, wow, like, and you're all like, that's my ideal client too. But they all come at it from a different lens. Same
mhm,
ideal client, same pain point, right? Completely different personalities, completely different brands, and completely different methodology,
mhm,
right? One's a trauma informed coach, one's a chiro, and one's a PT,
mhm,
right? And we see it even like we see it with fertility, we see it with all of these different, so there's room for everybody. And, with zero to clients, what we excel at is taking all of the stuff that's in your brain and helping you put it into this very structured, very step by step, let's call it a system, but it's really the assets that you need to be able to have an online business, to be able to get, grow an audience, nurture the audience, educate the audience, put them into an enrollment position, an enrollment conversation, and create your online program and deliver it. Cool.
That's it. That's the
That's
that's
it.
the container and the system I needed, Lori. I really appreciate it. I couldn't have built this, and I'm really glad that we all built it together.
Well, it's been so fun to watch you and to hear your stories and just the opportunities that have come up for you. So thank you for doing this. I appreciate it.
Sure.
Thank you to everybody for watching. I sincerely hope that you are seeing the evidence that you, in fact, can do this. It's not as difficult as you thought. And, um, and that is it. So if you are going to join us in Zero to Clients, I can't wait. Otherwise, have a fabulous day. Bye, everybody.